Tatha, thereafter. Adikshata, took initiation. Raja, the king. To, then. Haya, horse. Medha, sacrifice. Satena, to perform 100. Sa, he. Brahmavarte, known as Brahmavarta. Manoho, of Swayambhuva Manu. Kshetre, in the land. Yatra, where. Prachi, eastern. Saraswati, the river named Saraswati. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, King Prithu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifice at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta, and it was controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. Translation responsibly. Great sage Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, King Prithu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where a river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta, and it was controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. So there is no purport for this verse, so we'll continue with do text number 2. Tad abhipretya bhagavan karma tisa yam atmanaha sattha kratur mamarse prithur yagya mahotsavam. Translation. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu. Purport. In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lorded over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personalities of the King of Heaven, Indra. As evident from the revealed scriptures, the Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of great fruitive activities and the execution of yoga practice or siddhi. Indeed, he could not tolerate them, and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to a fear that those who performed the great sacrifice for the execution of Mr. Yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in the material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Matsara, envious. In the beginning of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it is therefore said that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such a non-envy is typical in Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of the competitor, his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. Om Jnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sijivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Bhakta Kanchani Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasti Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vacharam patmam namaiti yat prabhatamaham vande Sri So beginning to hear the new chapter of continual hearing of the pastimes of Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu has he was upset with Mother Earth that she was not producing. As a result, the citizens of his kingdom, they were emancipated or they were feeling weak. So Maharaj Prithu, as being an incarnation partial of the Shakti-Avesha avatar, he was able to know the cause. The cause was the Mother Earth was withholding the produce. So the reason that Mother Earth was withholding, because we had previous to Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Vaina, also cruel and sinful. So she withheld the power to produce the fruits, grains, and different amenities. So then Maharaj Prithu chastised Mother Earth. Mother Earth pleaded, and finally the different entities or the was granted by different personalities, being as a representative, like similar to his milking cow. So here in this chapter, that's we finished that. So in this chapter now, Maharaj Prithu is performing Ashwamedha Yajna. So he has already performed 99 Ashwamedha Yajna. Now he is now in the 100th Yajna. So now Lord Indra, who's the king of heaven, is he's afraid. Why is he afraid? Because he might lose his position. Such is attachment. So, King Indra here is going to, as the story unfolds, that he will be stealing the horse. There was the 100th horse that is kept for a sacrifice. He will steal them. And as we will hear in details, that Atri Muni actually notices that Indra steals the horse. He comes in the form of sannyasi and steals the horse. Then the Atri Muni advises the son of Prithu Maharaj, who is the Dasa, to get the horse or chastise Indra. So anyway, we'll hear the details of the story. So here, similar instance also. Indra is. Does anyone remember that another instance that Indra steals the horse? He steals the horse from Maharaj Sagara. Maharaj, this story is found in the 9th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That Maharaj, as Sukadeva Goswami describes different the dynasties of Surya Vamsa, this story comes in there. The Maharaj, but Sagara was the son of Bahuka. Bahuka lost his kingdom through his enemy. Enemy took over and lost his kingdom. So he had he had to retire. He went to forest along with his wife. When at the old days, king died, and the wives, one of the wife was pregnant. Then the sages who were in the forest advised that at the time there was the practice was the wife would also become a sati, or she would go into a fire as the same with the husband. But sages advised her not to, because she was pregnant. And king also had 8 co-wives. So when they found out one of the wives was pregnant, they gave her poison. But however, this poison didn't act on her, and the son was born. That's why the king Sagara named Sagara. Sa means with, Agara means a poison. He was born with the poison. But however, this king didn't die. Of course, he later on becomes an emperor. Then he had 2 wives, Keshni and it was Sumati. From Sumati he had 60,000 sons. So as Maharaj Prithu was performing sacrifice, it was a practice at the time, Maharaj Sagara also performed a Aswamedha Yajna. Same again, he was performing a 100 sacrifice. He comes again to Indra and steals the horse. Of course, as we know a story that in this particular pastime with Maharaj Sagara, these 60,000 sons, at this instant, Indra took the horse and put it in the ashram of Kapila. Then these 60,000 sons went to look for a horse, and they found the horse at the ashram of Kapila. But being not recognizing the greatness of the Lord Kapila, they actually attacked these and then scolded Kapila. Then because they made offense to Kapiladev, then the heat within their body generated so much that all these 60,000 sons were burned to ashes. Then, of course, the story as unfolds that the second wife's son, who is the Asamantasa, he had a son called Ansuman. And then Ansuman went to Lord Kapiladev, found Lord Kapiladev, and then he prayed. And Lord Kapiladev advised that if you want to deliver your ancestors, you need to call Mother Ganga. Ganga has to come, and then, so of course Ansuman prayed, he couldn't succeed. Then his son Dilip, he couldn't also, and then finally the Dilip's son was Bhagirath. Yeah, so Bhagirath got Mother Ganga, and all the ancestors were delivered. So again, Lord Indra is afraid of his position. Of course, Indra is a very great personality, not to take it very cheaply. And some of these pastimes take place to actually teach us a lesson. These personages, being Indra is the king of the heaven. And this position is given by the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna. He has a qualification. They are qualified. They're representing the. So they're not ordinary personalities. These pastimes, these incidents take place. Actually, we learn the lesson from. Even the great personalities like Indra can make a mistake, can be envious. So, in this particular verse, Prabhupada discusses the point about envy, being envious. What are the 6 enemies of vices? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, yes. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. See, so Kam is lust. Krodh is anger, greed, envy, illusion, or attachment, or madness. So these different enemies. So this particular verse is Prabhupada mentions the envy. Prabhupada in the very beginning he says, in this material world, and everyone who comes to enjoy himself or loaded up with the material nature is envious of others. In fact, this is our position. Because our envy, we are here in this material world. We are envious of who? Krishna. We are envious of who? Others. That brings us to this. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, he says, what is that thing that impels us to do or to commit sinful? What is it? What is the reason? This is in the question asked by Arjuna in the 3rd chapter, verse 36. He says, Ata kena prayuktoyam. Prayukta means impelled. Kena means what? Papam charati purusha. That a person is impelled to do a papa. Papa means sinful activities. Anicham, he says, anicham means even though it doesn't desire to, even though it doesn't want to, And still, and there is a force called Bala Eva Niyojaya, means that Bala or the force is telling us. What is that? In next verse, Krishna explains. Kama esa krodha esa rajoguna samudbhava mahasano mahapapma viddhi enam iha vairina. Krishna declares these as a vairi. Vairi means enemy. What is it? Kama esa, the lust. Krodha esa, anger. Where are they derived? They're coming from? How do they are manifested? Samudbhava means born. Rajo guna, through the mode of passion in connection. And what does he declare as Mahasano, all devouring? It just devour you. Mahapapma means the greatest sin. Mahapapma means greatly sinful. So kama esa, krodha esa, rajaguna samudbhava. Mahasano mahapapma viddhi enam iha vairinam. These are the enemy. Krishna also, same chapter, explains the degrees. He gives 3 examples. He gives the example of just like as a fire covered by smoke, mirror covered by dust, and embryo covered by womb. There are different degrees of lust. He gives 3 examples. He says the fire, just as the fire is covered by a smoke, it's very it's a subtle. As it goes greater, the mirror is covered by dust. When the mirror is covered, you can't see yourself. And also in the 3rd example he gives is embryo covered by a womb. It's more, you can't even see it. Whereas the smoke, you can see the fire behind the smoke. But with the womb. So there are different degrees, he gives example, of lust. Again, Krishna in the 2nd chapter also gives a how they are produced. This is Krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhrama. Smriti bhramsa buddhinasho, buddhinasa pranasyati. This is from anger. Krodha bhavati sammoha. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into a material pool. So there is so from anger, there is a different, and it says, thus the wise living entity, pure consciousness, this is in the 3rd chapter, text number 39. It says, Avritam jnanam etenam jnanino nitya vairinam kama rupena konteya duspurena nalena cha. Thus the wise living entity, pure in consciousness, becomes covered by the eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like a fire. Wow, quite heavy, isn't it? Which is true. I mean, that applies to everyone. So, lust is again, if we look at the example of Indra, since we're discussing about the Indra, another instance that's Indra forms the victim of lust is the pastimes of Gautam Rishi and Ahilya. Ahilya was the wife of Gautam Rishi. Ahilya is the daughter of Lord Brahma. So she's exclusively very, very, very beautiful. Very beautiful lady. When Lord Indra sees her in the hermitage, he just infatuated with the lust again. So while Gautam Rishi was gone to bathe, he comes in the form, he disguises himself as Gautam Rishi, says Gautam. And he comes and approaches the Ahilya. Then, of course, they fall down. When Gautam Rishi comes back and he recognizes what had happened, he through his mystic power, then Indra, he chastises Indra, he in fact curses Indra. That because he's so lusty, he curses that he will have eyes. In fact, not an eyes actually. They said initially he had all over his body, the genital of the female. Because it was embarrassing, and then Lord Indra had to go and he took a bath in the river, and then actually they turned into eyes. So that's why Lord Indra was actually cursed to have eyes all over his body. That's why you see some of the paintings in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that the Lord Indra was having eyes as a curse because it's lust. And of course, Ahilya was also cursed to be a stone because she did not resist, knowing that this was not actually her husband. So she was also cursed to become a stone. Of course, the Gautam Rishi gives her a benediction that she will be delivered by the touch of the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra when he comes into a forest. That's the pastime. That's narrated in the Ramayana. So again, this Indra being envious or being attached to his power, he could do anything. Another pastime that also we find in the 11th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, that Lord Indra sends Kamadev to attack who? Narayana. Again, so he's afraid because why? We're so attached. We're attached. Even the Lord Indra is to the point so attached to his position that thinking, why did he send the Cupid or Kamadev to attack Narayana Rishi? Because Narayana Rishi was doing tapasya. To become an Indra, there's two ways. I mean, a few ways it can be done. To become an Indra, one has to perform 100 horse sacrifices as prescribed in the Vedic literature scriptures. So, as we heard, Maharaj Sagara, Maharaj Prithu, they were performing these yagyas. So Indra got envious because they would take my position. So again, he sends to Kamadev to attack Narayana Rishi. In that pastime, Narayana Rishi actually, he sends the Cupid as well as the lot of beautiful apsaras. But in that pastime, Lord Narayana Rishi themselves actually manifested thousands of their, even hundreds of times of more beautiful apsaras or the damsels. That they were completely bewildered. So of course, Lord Narayana Rishi gives them one of these apsaras to take. You take. I've got more. I mean, if I wanted to enjoy, I have more beautiful ladies than what you have got here. Huh? So in that pastime, one of the Apsara actually he gives as a gift. So that is Urvasi. Urvasi is the, she was produced by, came through the Narayan Rishi, and see, of course, there's a whole pastimes, different pastimes that takes place. So, yeah, so many again falls into victim of attachment, matsara. Like that, Vishwamitra's pastimes, Menaka, again, similar, he's afraid to lose his position. So, like that, so many instances. However, our Acharya, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, says in his prayer to Vaishnava, or the Vaishnava Thakur, Krishna, could you give me a songbook, please? He prays to the Vaishnava and says, these vices or enemies, how can I control? What do I do? He says, this is the Bhaktivedanta Thakur in the Ohe Vaishnava Thakura song. He says, listen, Chaya Vega Domi. He describes as Chaya Vega. Vega means a force or urge. 6. Chaya means 6. What is he praying? To let it overcome 6 urges. Those who are speech, urge to speak. Even so, this is actually from Rupa Goswami's Upadesamrita. Vacho Begam, Manasa Kuroda Begam, Juha Begam, Udarabhasta Begam. Vacho Begam, urge to speak, speech, that we need to control. This is to control. Domi, Chaya Vega Domi, Chaya Dosa Sodis. So, Chaya Vegas are speech, the urge to speak, urge of anger, the actions of anger. Yes, actions of anger. Vacho Begam, Manasa Krodha Begam. So Manasa, mind, Krodha, anger, Juha, tongue, Udara, belly, Upasta, genital, lust again. He says we should control these six urges. Urge to speak, anger, mind, eating or overeating, tongue, belly, and genital. And 6 faults, Chaya, Dosa, Shodhi. Purify the 6 faults we have. What are the 6 faults? He says the 6 faults are overeating or collecting. Again, Atyahara, Prayasascha, Prajato, Niyamagraha. Dhanasavum Saloyamcha, Sadvibhakti, Pranasati. Atyahara, overeating or over collecting. So 6 faults are overeating or over collecting or over-endeavoring, atyahara, prayasa. Atyahara means overeat, prayasa, over-endeavoring for mundane things which is not beyond you, just endeavoring so much. Unnecessary talking, prajalpa. Talking about mundane affairs, being too attached to niyamagraha, following attached to, or being over-attached, or no attachment, of following the rules and regulations of the scriptures. Too attached, too also no good, and not following also no good. And associating with the worldly minded person and lusting after mundane achievements. 6 faults we should give up. And he said that these are 12 negative, and then there's another positive ones. It says Chaya Sat Sangha, the positive ones. What are they? 6 good qualities of enthusiasm, patience, confidence, determination to perform activities favorable for devotional service, the resolution to abandon the association of non-devotees, the discipline required to always follow the footsteps of previous acharyas. These are the 6 positive, it says. Chaya Vega Domi, Chaya Dosa Sodhi, Chaya Guna Dehodase, Chaya Satsanga Dehoe Amara Boshichi Songera Ase. Please. So anyways, so these are the different enemies and some other. So we should be endeavoring to develop. The enemies we should not be following. Lust, anger, greed. As a result, here we see even the great personalities. They become a victim of these enemies. And when one becomes a devotee or becomes it's easy to overcome these, or these qualities will come. We have seen Maharaj Ambarish, Maharaj Yudhishthir. They were also a royal personality. Even Maharaj Prithu. They are great personalities. They have led by these examples. They have full control of these enemies. So, so here lesson is that we should avoid being envious to others. And this is what we learned from this particular verse. As the story unfolds, there's so much details to be described. So it's time up. So I would like to end here. I'd like to ask for any questions or comments.
About Indra we were discussing. So Indra became a pig also. You want to tell us the story? How he
Indra's pastime today. As I understand Mahatma Prabhu's question, those who are hearing online, Mahatma Prabhu's question is that Indra also actually was cursed to become a pig. As I understand, this curse was cursed by Narad Muni. Is it correct? Yeah. I wanted to say this again. I can't recall Prabhu. Can you do you know exactly what's? Yes, he was he was lusting over some, and then he was cursed by sages to become a pig. Exact instance I can't recall right now. Then he, of course, becomes a pig for some time, and
Lord Brahma comes.
Yeah, even Lord Brahma, when he comes said, "Hey, you're a king of heaven. What are you doing in the form of He said, no, go. I'm enjoying with my piglets, my wives and everything. I'm happy here. And that's just to show us that, yes, how powerful the Maya, the illusory energy is. That even if you're a king of heaven, if you can be taken over by these enemies. Yes, Rupa.
In this story and pastime, we talk about 99 yagyas and then 100 yagyas was destroyed. So in our day-to-day thing, our congregational Prabhu is doing more than 100 yagyas so far. And in our Mayapur, we are doing yagya every day, so we are doing 300 yagyas, more than 300 every year. So what do we do with this thing?
So those who are hearing online, the question from the Prabhu is that we hear these great kings have performed over 99 Aswamedha yagyas in our ISKCON world, and there is Gangesha Prabhu, for example, he has performed more than 100 yagyas. In Mayapur, again, there's so many yagyas are taking place. So the question is, what's the result? Is that what the question is, Prabhu?
Yeah, and what do we do with these envious people who are envious about our yagyas?
Yeah. Of course, the yagyas are two types. One type is to you perform a yajna to get something for yourself. Yajnas performed by in our movement, it is mostly to please the Lord, not wanting for something for ourselves. Say, my dear Lord, please accept this yajna as my devotional service, and please engage us in your service. That is the mode of the devotee who are performing yajna in our movement. These kings, these yagyas are prescribed in the Vedic scriptures to perform. Yes, we have to. So one can perform, one to gain a material benefit, or you can sacrifice that material for the pleasure of the Lord. So the yajnas done in the movement is for the pleasure of the Lord, not for our personal benefit, as I understand. I am too correct.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the wonderful class. My question is that over and over we see in the Bhagavatam the example of Lord Indra is cited with various pastimes. My question is that, to my understanding, Lord Indra is actually a host and not so. Is that various pastimes done by one living entity or different living entities occupying the post of Lord Indra at different times? And so is there something wrong with that post, that a lot of attachment, or how is it?
So the question is that we hear so many different instances of Lord Indra performing the activities which are doesn't seem to be good. Is that one particular Indra that is the issue, or is that that post of Indra itself isn't a problem? It's a very good question. What I understand, these pastimes, what we're hearing is this is my understanding. It's this particular Indra which we start. Currently that is the person who's exiting. So it's a person that is doing activity, not the post. Post is a pure. Post doesn't do anything. So the person who sits on that post can be victimized by these different enemies, spices. So I understand it's a person, not a post. This post also we understand, when there is not a qualified person to take this post, Lord himself takes the position of Indra, Brahma, so on and so forth, and acts on that role. So the post is not to be, it's just an individual person that has got a different issues. I understand. Yes, Madhu.
Just I had a question about when you came in class.
Yes, speak up a little bit.
I had a realization about when you were talking about this jealousy and envy, and I was thinking how if we want to be with Krishna, if we want to be devotees with Krishna in spiritual world, we have to give up envy. We can see actually we need to realize we need to clear our jealousy, because the jealousy is the only thing which is the cause for our bondage. And I heard Prabhupada saying, if you want to be liberated and free, it's question of jealousy. If you are without jealousy. If you want to be calm, you are jealous. So if we suffer dualities, I hate, I love, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, that means we need to work on ourselves, and it's never someone else's. We are responsible for ourselves, for our thoughts, for our feelings, the way we think and the way we feel. And the other realization I had, please correct me if I'm wrong, I was thinking when Niyamagraha, because sometimes it's not quite clear what Niyamagraha means. And I thought of Daksha, when he was performing sacrifices. He was so much attached to the rules, regulations, this and that, and he actually didn't see, he couldn't see because of this attachment to the rules and regulations, he couldn't see the transcendental position of other people, and he couldn't see, he was thinking that the qualities in mode of goodness, and this is dangerous for us, how the mode of goodness binds us. We start to value knowledge, we start to value cleanliness, we start to value external things instead of love. Love means you see everything differently through love. When you see differently through material consciousness, you see it like Daksha sees it. In material terms, he mistook Lord Shiva to be a not so elevated person because he thought he's not clean, he associates with ghosts, he's all this, he was seeing material modes of material nature, he didn't see through the eyes of love. And this is attachment to the rules and regulations. He was so attached, he was thinking his success in life depends on following the rules and regulations, but no, we need to see the things from the position of love.
Yes, as for those who are hearing online, the Mataji is saying that we need to give up our envious nature or jealousy to others if we wish to go back home, back to Godhead. For good. Because it does, this is one of the things that keeps us binding so strongly in this world. Lust, envy, greed, pride. Envy is one of the, in fact, as I mentioned in the beginning in my presentation, that this is what is, we're here because we are envious of. So we have to give up. And second point Mataji mentioned, and that about the point of niyama agraha and niyama agraha. There's two types. Rupa Goswami when in Upadeshamritas. One is agraha means not following the injunctions or the rules and regulations mentioned in the, not following at all. Other one is overly attached to follow every single rules, just overly attached. Okay, I have to do this way, I have to sit this way, I have to eat this way, I have to take bath at a certain time, I have to. It just there's whole there's a lot of rules and regulations mentioned in scriptures. You have to go according to time, place, and circumstances. There's so many rules. So one is overly attached, other one is not at all. But we have to follow what actually our as per our time, place, and circumstances, and also according to the acharyas that's given us for the particular time and era, we follow those rules and regulations. Yes, buddy.
Well, as I understood from your class, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when we have given this authority or some sort of power over people, how to remain not being attached to the position or trying to think that people are behind your position, and how to control our
Very good question. Question is that power corrupts. We have absolute power. We can see the example of Indra or different demigods. They are in a high position, high power. Even in this material world, we can see our politicians and different leaders, different positions, no matter what. As soon as you have a control of power, it corrupts. It gives a it's just. So the question is, how do we overcome this lording over mentality? Is that right? Yeah. Yes, it is difficult. It's hard. Power corrupts. Power has there's just so much attachment. Is there once you're in the position, power, that you could. There's so many instances. People just kill, murder, do this, that, other, anything to be in a position. That's very difficult. They understand if you are in the power, if you are in a position, that position is for a particular purpose. Certain duties. You are given a certain position. Maharaj Yudhishthira also had a power. Maharaj Ambarish also had a power. They were absolute. But the mentality they used, this is not for me. I am not the person who is actually doing it. I am doing it for the Supreme Personality of God. I am doing it for the Lord. This is given me as a service. This is my service to do it. If we have that kind of mentality, with that mentality, you can continue to do it. When the time comes, you can be easy to give up. When the right time was come for Maharaj Yudhishthira to give up the whole kingdom, just overnight, see, done. Everything just handed over to Maharaj Parikshit, gone. It doesn't become, because they have this serving mentality. They were serving, they are doing a duty. If the power or your position you are in, if you take it as your service and duty for others, then easy to give up.
What we are saying, humility.
Humility, yes. It's not for me. It's not me. Position, power, everything is for the service. You are given because you have certain skills and intellect. That is utilized. It can be used, yes. But the mentality has to be that it's not for me. Yeah. Humility. Yeah. It's I'm doing it for the Lord, for the devotees, for the. Yes, Rupa.
We talked about giving up matsar, the envy, and the process of doing it is to listen to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam every day. Am I correct?
Yes. In fact, Srila Prabhupada makes that point in a purport. The question is that to become a nirmatsara, or the completely non-envious, what is the process? In Prabhupada mentioned in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, what it says? Since no one is in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called matsara, or envious. In the beginning of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it is therefore said, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, or non-envious. So yes, one of the secret is to become a non-envious is to listen and study Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That will purify us. The envious nature we have. It is one of the ways to purify. We learn from these different pastimes and activities. Bhagavatam itself isn't purification. It's the purity that purifies us. Amala. Yes. Completely pure. Amala. Mala means impure. A means complete, without. So that itself will purify the consciousness. Yes, last one.
Also need to be introspective and being able to recognize the in ourselves and not act upon it, but act according to the will of Krishna. Because if we don't recognize it, we will act upon it.
Yes. mentioning that in order to overcome the enviousness, that we need to also learn how to recognize these envies within us. Then only we can be able to overcome these. All right. Yes.
Last year in the cricket world, a very big controversy happened where the Australian team was caught red-handed cheating. The captain, the vice captain, got a new player, used sandpaper, because the mood was to win at all cost. And in the absence of any higher values, that desire to be seen as the perfect, they were not willing to invest more in their competence, but rather they took the path of cheating to maintain their position that they once held.
Yes.
So in the material sphere, it seems that the solution would be to bring yourself to a competitive position. Raise your standards, raise your skills, raise your experience, your knowledge. In the sphere of spirituality, Krishna consciousness, it's actually eradicating it completely by working on internal gain rather than external achievements.
Yes, yes.
Because that's what's happening in Indra's life again and again, as you narrated so many different pastimes. He's always looking at external achievements, and driven by them, he's willing to compromise all these things. He can't even see that what he's doing is because the goal, the vision is external achievements rather than internal achievements.
Yes. Yeah, it's very right. Yeah.
Can you please summarize?
Prabhu's, give an example of how by any means, hook or crook, win it over. If I have to tamper the ball, the cricket field, for example, we gave an example, then I'll do it because I want to win. The whole mood and motive was, how can I load it up? How can I win? I am the me. Again, what it boils down to, me and mine. Aham mameti, my body, me. It's all temporary. But it just, the impelling is so great that you just do anything to cheat, lie, deceive. These are the things. Yeah, and Prabhu mentioned that to overcome this, yes, we have to work on our own self, work within it. First, we need to. Very first principle is to say, okay, I'm not this body, anything. Otherwise, we will not go. We will not even learn ABC of the spirituality unless we have to understand that we are not this body. We are actually a soul within it.
By Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Yes. So unless we come to that understanding, it's just not practical. Because all these things mostly takes place because of the bodily identification. Me and mine. Aham mameti.
Krishna began Bhagavad Gita saying, I'm not the body.
Yes.
People have spoken about this in the 16th chapter or 14th chapter, but the initial verses is telling, I'm not the body.
Yes, right in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Very actually, in fact, very second or third verse from Krishna says, Vedasmin yatha dehe kumaram yoma. You're not the body, you're the spirit soul. When we act on the platform of being a spiritual soul, then the spirituality begins. It doesn't end there, it begins. As long as we identify ourselves with body, mind, intelligence, force, ego, Kam, Krodh, Moha, everything will attack you. And all our actions and everything is just based on body. I think we should end. Okay.
I just thought when you asked how to be in position and how to act upon power, like Lord Krishna, he gave good example with Arjuna and Bhagavad Gita. He explained to him this needs to be done because of this, and this, and this. And then on the end he said, you want to do it or not? And then Arjuna said, yes, now my illusion is dispelled. So it's good to, when we act with other people, to understand where they're coming from and what's
Yes, whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Yeah, whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken because Arjuna was still in the bodily platform. Then Krishna at the end asked him, "You still?" And Arjuna says, "Well, I've now learned the ABC. That I am not this body. Karise vachanam tava. I will follow your instructions." Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.